Thanks, Siobhan. Do you want to give it a few more minutes before we start?
Yeah, it does takes a little bit for somebody who, before they can join as well. So maybe just a few more minutes.
Yeah, wait to hear from you, so thanks.
This is fixed now. No, I'm done. Can everybody go on mute, please?
Okay, Maura, so there's 61 on the call. We had 74 who had said they would potentially come. So I'm not sure when you want to start.
Okay, thanks, Siobhan. Appreciate that. I think we had 67 registered delegates to vote, so if you're 61 in at the moment, do you want to give it another minute to see if a few more come in, or will we lock the meeting and move forward?
Another 2 people coming, so maybe just a few more minutes.
Okay, it's only 3 minutes past 7, so maybe at 5 past 7 we'll start then, Siobhan. That works for you.
Grant. Okay.
Thanks.
And I don't see anybody else coming in there tomorrow. We're at 65 people.
Okay, Siobhan, thanks for that. We'll start now, please. Hello and welcome to Mountaineering Ireland's AGM 2021. Thank you for taking the time to join us at our second such-like virtual AGM in a row. Your presence and support here tonight is most appreciated. My name is Murray McDonough and I'm the CEO of Mountaineering Ireland. I'm going to take you through a few housekeeping slides on how the schedule of the AGM will work, and then confirming the AGM delegates' presence to ensure we have a valid quorum present, or handing you over to Paul Barron to commence the AGM. 2020 has been one of the most challenging years in living memory, and I'm certain that not one delegate here tonight has not been impacted by the global pandemic in some way. Tonight is our AGM, which is the corporate business function of the company. However, on the 21st of April, we will be hosting our members forum, and this will be an online event where it is more suitable to address questions around the current pandemic and share relevant information. So I look forward to meeting you all again in just over 3 weeks' time. This AGM is set up as a Zoom meeting, whereby all attendees can see each other present on screen. All delegates will have been issued a link to the AGM since 45 p.m. and they have been confirmed in attendance by allowing each delegate one by one from the waiting room into the AGM. This will eliminate the need for a physical roll call. Please be patient with us, as this type of event requires all technology to go according to plan. But sometimes there are hiccups. Between delegates and other attendees, there will be close to 70 people present this evening. The only people who will not have their microphones muted are those who are speaking. Therefore, if you're asking a question and your microphone is live, please be sure that there is no background noise. Once we have confirmed the quorum for the AGM, the meeting will be locked and only those eligible and present will be able to cast a vote or poll. At the end of the meeting, we will conduct a report to confirm the numbers of those who attended. Ruth, can you please go to the next slide where I'll discuss the schedule of the AGM, how it works. Thank you. The AGM will be recorded and streamed live on Mountaineering Ireland's YouTube channel. Please take responsibility for what you do and say. The AGM is being hosted at our head office in Irish Sport HQ, the National Sports Campus branch on Dublin 15. The AGM panel consists of 4 members: the President of Mountaineering Ireland, Paul Kelleher, the Chair of the Board of Directors, Paul Barron, the Chair of the Finance, Audit and Risk Committee, Imelda Buckley, and the CEO, myself. This AGM is being supported by Ruth Whelan, who is the host, and Siobhan Quinn as the facilitator, which is required when using Zoom. Reports will be taken as read. Once the quorum is confirmed, the AGM will be locked to secure that only those present and accounted for at the AGM can actually vote. How Q&As will work. As clubs, individual members pre-submitted their AGM questions in advance. Those relating to the AGM will only be discussed tonight. Those that were not relevant to the AGM will be addressed at the members' forum taking place on the 21st of April via Zoom. If delegates wish to raise a question during the AGM, please click on the raise hand function located on the reaction tab at the bottom of your screen. By clicking on this yellow hand button, your question will be brought to the attention of the presenter as we go through the AGM slides. Alternatively, you can type your question in the chat function to the panel, but we prefer if you use the raise hand function. Only AGM related questions will be discussed tonight. How voting or polling will work. Instead of having a traditional proposer and seconder at a physical AGM, tonight we'll ask delegates to vote to approve each item. For each vote, as a delegate, you will have a choice to make by clicking either yes, no, or abstain. Please be careful when voting, as we only have one vote per item and we aim for full accuracy. There is a limit of 60 seconds for delegates to cast their vote. Once all votes have been cast, the results will be presented within a few seconds for all delegates to see. This function is to provide full transparency on the votes cast in real time. We will now hold a test vote to help familiarise delegates with this process. Ruth, can you please do a test vote? And I'd ask all delegates just to click on the yes button and then hit submit. Hopefully the results of that test vote will come up shortly now. Great, thank you very much. You can see 87% voted yes and 3% and 10 abstained. So thank you very much for that. We'll now go to the next slide, which is this confirmation of those eligible to attend as delegates, either as club or as individuals. So in total tonight, we have 31 clubs present, which will consist of 51 club members and 12 individual members. And as I said, that represents overall 67 unique votes for the AGM. At the end of the AGM, we'll do a report, which is a function of the Zoom setup, to allow us to record exactly all the people who are present for the AGM. Confirm our numbers who attended at the start. Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to hand you over to Mr. Paul Barron now to start the AGM proper. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mauro. I can be heard, Ruth, can I? Okay, we're good to go. Evening, everyone. Thanks so much for so many people turning out tonight for this AGM. Who would have thought at our last AGM that we'd be facing a second virtual AGM? But there you go. That's the world we live in, and we'll see where this takes us. So the first item on the agenda tonight is the adoption of standing orders. So Ruth, if you could put them up there, please. So there you have the standing orders. The proposer of a motion or an amendment can speak for 5 minutes, but not more than 5 minutes. A delegate can speak for not more than 2 minutes, is it? And the proposer can speak again for a second time for 2 minutes. As you know, we have 2 motions on the agenda tonight. And when the chair considers that the matter has been discussed sufficiently, the proposer will be called on to put the matter to a vote. So there are the standing orders which we've used at various AGMs in the past. Ruth, do we vote on this one? We do. Okay, we'll do that now. We'll have to devise a jingle that we can play while we're waiting for the votes to come in.
The countdown.
Like
The countdown tune.
Yeah, maybe so. Put that on the list for next year, Ruth.
Yeah. We nearly have everyone voted there. It's past the 60 seconds there, so will I end polling, Paul?
Yeah. Okay, that's looking good. Okay, so that's passed. So let's move swiftly on. The next item on the agenda then is the adoption of the minutes of the AGM last year, which was held in 24th of June. That was after the deferral of the original date, which was, I think, this day last year. It was due to be held in Blessington, but anyway, can we have a vote on the adoption of the minutes, please? Are we nearly there yet?
Yeah, we've exceeded the 60 seconds. There's a few people that haven't voted, but
okay, that's fine. They may not have been there, so let's go for it. Okay, well and truly passed. Thank you.
Okay.
So the next item on the agenda is the President's address. So Paul, if you're out there, would you like to say a few words?
Sorry, thank you. I was trying to get past the unmute. Wasn't sure if I could do it or not. I'm not going to read my full address. It's available on the website, and I'm taking it as read. But there are, I suppose, a couple of words I kind of wanted to say to you all. Like, I think Mara touched on this as well. You know, I want to welcome you all, obviously, to this year's AGM. The last 12 months have been incredibly challenging, and I think there'll be few of us that haven't been impacted in some way by COVID in either our personal or professional lives. And at times, you know, it is difficult to see the road ahead and to see when these restrictions will exactly ease and what the next 12 months holds for us. But, you know, I think we'll just all have to kind of hold our nerve on this, and no doubt really looking forward to meeting up with many of you on the hills again in the time ahead. It's kind of a special year for us, 2021, because this is our 50th anniversary of Mountaineering Ireland, formerly FMCA and MCA. And our team are currently planning some events to mark this special occasion. Now, obviously, it's difficult to do what we probably would have wanted to have done, given all of the restrictions. And it definitely makes it more challenging, but we would really ask for your continued support and perseverance. And I really want to particularly thank everybody here tonight for giving up the time for the AGM, but also, you know, for all of our members who have renewed their membership, you know, of clubs and individually in times that it's difficult to see when you can get out, but you know, your membership ultimately supports the work that we deliver to you, so it's kind of greatly appreciated. And you know, it's also a year that we're seeing, you know, exponential growth of people and numbers of people in the hills. And that's a challenge for us for the future, and one that we will have to address in due course. And I've put some thoughts in my formal address in that for folk to read, but certainly would welcome discussion on that at the members forum in the future. And finally, I want to pay tribute to and thank, you know, Mara and all of the staff team for all of their work they've done throughout the year. I mean, there's been an incredible series of zooming around the mountains, but also all of that work that has gone on in the background to make those events possible. All of the work continues on access conservation work with our climbing and hill walking community. So really kind of want to acknowledge the work of all the staff in that in what has been very difficult conditions. And I also want to acknowledge my colleagues on the board for all of their service to Mountaineering Ireland, and particularly outgoing members for their service. And I particularly want to single out two members in that. One is our chair, Paul Barron, who has given 9 years of service to the board of Mountaineering Ireland and the last 5 years as chair. Thank you, Paul, for steering us and continuing to steer us on a course, and particularly through the last year in kind of quite difficult times, but for all of your service in the last 9 years. And also to long-standing member Dawson Stelfox, who has stepped down from the board of Mountaineering Ireland but remains supporting the Mountain Training Board. Dawson, in fact, has served so many years on the board, nobody could actually tell me how long. And he's almost part of the kind of DNA or furniture in Mountaineering Ireland. But you know, to all of my other colleagues who are outgoing board members as well, I kind of want to thank you very much. And really, that's all I want to say until we can meet again. And hopefully our next spring or autumn gathering will be together on the hill, and kind of very much look forward to meeting you all at that time. So that's all I'm going to say for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks very much for that and for your kind words. And Paul's address is available on the website, his full address. Okay, moving on then. The next item on the agenda is the election to full membership of a number of aspirant clubs. As you may know, the board has the power to grant aspirant status to clubs who wish to join MI, and then it comes before the membership generally to elect those clubs to full membership. So we've 5 clubs tonight that have fulfilled the conditions to become full members of MI. The Dublin Climbers and Mountaineers, the Youth Climbing Trips NI, Roving Souls, Quilca Ramblers, and Ballyfermot Cherry Orchard Hiking Club. So can we put that one to a vote, please, Ruth? So that must bring us, Ruth, you'd probably know, that brings us very close to the 200 mark now, does it, in terms of clubs?
Yeah, it's currently 194 for this year. Yeah.
Very good. Okay. So there'll be a prize for whoever gets the 200 club across the line.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, we're just coming up the 60-second mark there, so just end the polling.
Okay, thank you. So that's pretty unanimous. That's great, thank you. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the report from the company secretary. Mauro, as well as being CEO, is also the company secretary, and his report is, this was circulated in advance, it was, yeah. So we're taking it as read, Mauro. Is there anything that needs to be said?
No, Paul, that's fine. I mean, it's all there in those 5 bullets, and it's just an account of, I suppose, of a governance point of view over the year 2020. So no, I've nothing further to add to that report.
Okay, thanks, Mauro. So let's put that to the floor then, Ruth, please.
Sharing results there now.
Okay, that's a fair endorsement you got there, Mauro. I think you're good for another year.
Thanks very much.
Okay. All right then, moving swiftly on, our next item is the approval of the financial statements for 2020. So I'm going to hand you over for this one to Imelda Buckley, who's a member of the board and also chairs the board Finance, Audit and Risk Committee. So Imelda.
Thanks, Paul. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, I'm presenting the financial statements for the year ending 31st December 2020. Total income amounted to just over €1,285,000, while expenditure amounted to just over €1,240,000, resulting in a surplus for the year of €44,500 versus €3,000 in 2019. Our Sport Ireland core funding amounted to €235,000. Women in sport accounted for 46,000. The Get Ireland walking programmes amounted to 245,000. Get climbing programme amounted to 30,000. Sport Northern Ireland funding amounts to £48,500, and that's equated to around €215,000 over 4 years. This fund is specifically for youth engagement and club developments in Northern Ireland. During 2020, then, Mountaineering Ireland has continued to operate appropriate financial processes. This included Finance, Audit and Risk Committee's oversight of financial operations and risk. We met the financial reporting requirements of our key funder, Sport Ireland. Budgets are in place for all programmes, and we're improving our revenue and cost income streams through initiatives such as Irish Peaks Project. The next slide then is our income and expenditure supplementary information. There are just some movements and we received some questions in relation to the income and expenditure, so I'll just go through some of those highlights now. So in relation to income, the increase in membership income reflects the increase in club members' fees to €35. That was approved and implemented on the 1st of November 2019. The Irish income...
Imelda, can I just hold you a second? I'm not seeing the second slide. Oh. I don't know whether other people are still on the first slide.
I think we need to go to this, yeah.
There we go. And I think it's down to the next one then, I think, Siobhan. Yeah. Was I to say move forward?
That's okay. So maybe just backtrack a little bit there, Imelda, on this one.
So what I'm going to do here, Paul, this is the supplementary information, the income and expenditure.
Yeah.
So I'll just give you some highlights on the key movements in relation to this. That's okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Right, okay. So there was an increase in our membership income on 2019, and that's to do with the increase in club members' fees to €35. So you'll see that's an uplift in our membership income. The Irish Peaks income of 91,000 is the total sales for both editions of Irish Peaks. And then other income lines, such as, mountain log advertising, training, climbing, member meet and gathering, they're all down as a direct result of COVID-19. In relation to expenditure then, wages and salaries movement reflects one new member of staff during 2020 and a small cost of living increase that we agreed at the end of 2019. Net reduction in insurance primarily relates to a rebate we received from our insurers this year, and that's due to the reduced activity as a result of COVID-19 as well. We did have a bad debt provision of 10,000 that arose as a result of a sponsorship agreement not materialising. We wrote down our stock of library books and stuff like that, and books and publications by 15,000, and that's as a result of the success of Irish Peaks. We reviewed the volume and books and publications going through Mountaineering Ireland, and that resulted in a write-down of stock of 15,000. Other items such as expenditure on general administration, training, climbing, members' meets and gatherings, they're all down as a direct result of COVID-19 as well. So both the income and the expenditure side impacted by COVID-19. So that's all I have in relation to the financial. So do we need to go to a vote to accept the accounts, or?
Well, have
any questions?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, have any questions come in?
I don't see any hands raised or any questions in the chat.
Okay. Okay, is there anybody?
Okay, so Anne-Marie, I'm just going to ask you there to unmute, so you should be able to speak.
Rebate from your insurers, is that the building insurers, or is that the...
Sorry, Anne-Marie, I don't think we got the start of that sentence. Could you say it again?
Yeah, I'm just wondering about the rebate from the insurers. Is that insurance for buildings and public liability, or is that the insurance that goes to members? And if it goes to members, might be interesting to have a discussion at some stage about how some of that could go back to members.
Okay, thanks, Anne-Marie. Bill, do you mind if I answer out, or are you happy to take it?
No, sorry, Marie, you're far away, yeah. Okay,
thanks, Anne-Marie, very much for your question. Our rebate is in relation to our overall insurance, which covers not just our members, it covers the company, the liability around the company, directors, staff, subcommittees, and public liability and personal accident as well. So it's not itemized down to any specific level. What we did is work very closely with our insurers during the earlier part of 2020. Once the 12th of March happened and I suppose lockdown started to commence at that stage, what we were in a position was to agree a certain amount of, I suppose, a rebate or a financial return on the cost of the overall premium based on some levels of our activities not going ahead. And that was just a direct relation to, I suppose, indoor climbing walls and to some of our outdoor events as well, whereby some of our members were able to participate in activities. The majority of us were not able to enjoy our activities. And I guess at that time in March and April and May, as a company, we did not have oversight of what our year-end financial position would have been as well. Imelda presented a very round and very thorough breakdown of our income and expenditure, but a great deal of that came in Q4 as well with the success of Irish Peak leading up to the Christmas markets. What we are trying to do is support our clubs financially under the current year 2021, where we got funding from Sport Ireland to the tune of €70,000. So that's something we're going to drive straight back to our clubs and to our members. We also got €70,000 to provide innovation services to our members, both club and individual members, and an extra 40,000 to help support our own services, NGB, towards our membership support as well. And I think it's well highlighted that 2022 and 2023 are going to be challenging years as well. So although we have a modest surplus saved for rainy day purposes, we are being very prudent about how we go about financially and how we extend our service in that capacity. So Marie, I hope that helps answer your questions. And if you want me to give you a call tomorrow or discuss any more detail, I'm happy to do so, or even in 3 weeks' time at the members forum.
Okay, Mara, there's just...
Sorry, go ahead, Nilda.
No, I was just going to say, there's just a question up there in relation to the accrual of 375,000 on the accounts. That's the treatment in relation to sport, the grants that we received from Sport Ireland. It's just how we account for it.
Thank you. Margaret Kendi, if you just want to unmute yourself.
Hello. I sent this question to Siobhan earlier on, but I'm curious about the why is there no specific mention of the amount of money that's forwarded to the insurance provider on behalf of the members? I just had a quick look down to the expenditure statement. Am I missing something? Is it included in the 66,000 for insurance?
It is, Margaret. The 66,000, as Mura just mentioned there, Tamari, covers all our insurance costs. So, you know, things like buildings, premises, staff, membership, everything's included in that 66,000.
Yeah, well, I was just wondering if there's roughly, is there about whatever, 12,000, or I can't figure out the figures. How many members are in the club? About 18,000, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? We must be paying a bit more for insurance than 66,000 if each one of us is, our individual insurance is €10 or €20, say. You know, that the figure doesn't really make sense to me now. Maybe I'm missing something. I accept that.
Okay, Mark, if I might jump in there, and Paul, if you want to say a few words, well, you're on mute, so maybe Siobhan, you can unmute Paul. The figure of 66 represents the figure after rebates been taken away from it. So from in the year 2019, our insurance figure was 75,000. Because of an ongoing number of claims, that insurance premium went up from 75 to 85,000 for the year 2020. And then when the rebate was taken away from that figure, or the refund, as you want to call it, from our insurers, that brought it back to 66,453. So in previous years, we would have given a breakdown, I suppose, when members paid their submission fees, how much went to log posts, insurance, and to the organisation. When we increased our club membership fees to €35, we allowed that in as a general income for the organisation and make provision for overall income and expenditure account of the organisation. So that's why we don't itemise that in granular detail of where the money goes to. But the insurance figure of 66, I'm hoping being clear there, Margaret, that if there wasn't a global pandemic in 2020, that figure would be 85,000. But the rebate we agreed brought it down to 66.
Okay, Thank you. I just didn't. I was trying to work out figures in my head, because I think somebody said earlier that we have around 20,000 members.
We have just under, for the year ending, for the season ending 1920, we had just under 14,000 members. So just 14,000 members would be our target for a normal year.
Okay, I accept it. That's fine.
Thanks, Margaret. Appreciate it.
So there's a question in the chat there. What do you plan to do with the additional profit carried forward to the incoming year?
Okay, well, I'll just make a correction there straight away. We don't actually have, what we have is a surplus figure every year, or a deficit figure every year. So the surplus figure goes into our reserve. And as I mentioned earlier, we have a modest reserve, and that's just to help safeguard the organisation moving forward for any other financial hardships or uncertainties that may come in the current year for 21 and for 22 and 23, until we go back to a more normalised pattern of when we're all able to engage in the outdoors and in indoor climbing walls again. So it's to support the organisation for any financial shortfalls that may happen over the next number of years.
Okay, next question. Will the money received from women in sport go towards next year?
Thanks, Siobhan. That's a fair point. So anything we have that's ring fence, and when I mean ring fence, it's dedicated funding from a state organisation, the Checker. So, for example, for women in sports, if we do have an underspend in one year, it automatically rolls over to the next year. And that's the same for other programs like Get Climbing, or for our Sport and I development work as well. So it's all rolled forward into a set program following year.
Okay, two more questions in the chat, and Majella, I see your hand as well. Question from the chat: am I correct that it costs over 106,000 euro for the mountain log, and we get just over 9,000 euro income?
Thanks, Majella.
Yeah. No, that wasn't from Majella, that was from the chat. Sorry.
Oh, from the chat. Okay, well, that is correct. I mean, the cost of the log is in the printed format over 4 editions in any 12-month period. It's a high cost. It's a valued service to our members, and we have a belief that moving forward we might look at other options about how we communicate and distribute the log. We do undergo regular checks on the pricing structures around the print, the distribution, and the postage of it. Obviously, the postage is something beyond our control, but it is a cost item there, as you can see in the expenditure account. In normal years, in normal times, we would have more income on advertising, but as Imelda mentioned earlier on in the slides, I suppose when the financial crisis happened from March on in 2020, all our suppliers and our advertisers who rely on people being out and about or in the indoor climbing walls, they just pull back on their funding reserves and their marketing spend because of uncertainty around the markets and around financial circles as well. So that really stopped. But in a normal year, we'd hope to materialise somewhere between 15 to 20,000 on advertisements and the logs, all going well.
Okay, next question from the chat. Member subs in 2019 were 357,733 euro. Subs went up by 27%. That works out at 454,320 euro. Why is it just 404,769 euro now?
Okay.
I suppose that in fairness, you need to look at the mix of membership in relation to the members that were there in 2019, the relation that and the mix of that's what's coming into the member sub figure for 2020. And it was the club figure members fee that went up to 35 euros. So it's a combination of both, how many members we have in 2019, how many members we have in 2020, and how many members were clubs in 2019, how many members were clubs in 2020. So it's not just it's not, I suppose, as simple as taking the 2019 figure and just rating that up to 2020.
Thanks, Imelda. And also it's worth noting that individual membership subscriptions did not increase in 2020 either. They remain consistent.
Perfect, yeah.
Thank you. Majella, I'm just going to ask you to unmute there.
Oh. Hi, just referring to the membership retention scheme, providing a grant of €5 per member back to the clubs. Given the fact that Sports Ireland have given total of 180,000 under the COVID-19 scheme, and also the unusual, I presume, excess in the accounts this year. Would you consider increasing that membership retention grant back to the club? Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Michelle. I'm not sure is that a question for the current AGM, but what I will comment on, and I'm happy to discuss further either one-to-one or in the members forum in 3 weeks' time. When we applied for funding support from Sport Ireland in Q3 of 2020, we applied under 3 schemes. One was membership retention for 2021, which we got an award of 70,000, and we're in the process now of working out that scheme with our clubs and individuals to distribute that money, the source, to our clubs and individuals. We also applied and received 70,000 for innovation, and that's to provide new support and services, all based on our membership as well, and to support our clubs and our individuals. So that 70,000 will be spent over the coming months as well throughout 2021. We were also received an additional 40,000 for NGB support, whereby for any financial hardships or shortcomings in the current financial year for 2021, we have that resource available to support our members and our clubs as well, and programs that we deliver at national level. So out of the 180,000, 70 was directed directly to our help support and retain our membership, and that's a key function we're trying to deliver at the moment. Bella.
Okay, so there are 3 more questions in the chat. Is the app new, and did the app development cost €83,000?
That's the Get Ireland Walking app. Murray, I don't know if you want to take that, but that's, yes, the development is 82,000, but it's fully funded by the Get Ireland Walking programme. So right. There was actually no cost, if you like, for Mountaineering Ireland, the organisation as such. It was all Get Ireland Walking.
That's right, Imelda. The funding received for that app development for Get Ireland Walking was 75,000. It went slightly over budget, up to 83, and that difference then is taken away from Get Ireland Walking's programme costs. So it's self-contained or ring-fenced within the Get Ireland Walking budget, and has no net effect, positive or negative, towards Mountaineering Ireland's figures. It's separate and it's ring-fenced to Get Ireland Walking. Yeah. Thanks, Siobhan. Is there 2 more questions in the chat function?
Yeah. So what type of professional services ran to over €50,000?
Okay, I'll take that, Siobhan. That's, well, what's in there is our accountants. Our accountants are IFT, and they are probably responsible for about 89% of that cost. And then there's another couple of consultancies, IT consultancy and general consultancy fees that we incurred during the year.
Thank you.
All totaling 50,000, yeah.
Great. And then the last question, membership subscriptions are €404,769 slash €35 per member, which equals 11,464.83 members. You just mentioned just under 14k members. Where is the additional income recorded? Sorry, if you hit the chat function, you see the question itself.
Yeah. I think probably touched on this already, Siobhan. The €35 is per club member. Doesn't it take into account the individual members? So it's not a case of just dividing the 404 by €35 and that gives you the number of members. It's not. It's you need to look at the mix of clubs and individual members to derive the 404,000. But maybe that's something you can share, Mara, the exact number of the clubs and then the exact number of individual members.
Yeah, and if I could just say, there's also the fact that there are concessionary rates for juveniles and for people who join while they're training and so on. So there's a number of different categories of membership, or different membership fees rather. So it's not a question of simply dividing by 35. Some people pay more than 35 and some people pay less than 35. But you can take it from us, Annette, that our number of members is was in around the 14,000 mark as of the end of last season. It's considerably below that at the moment, and part of the reason that we got the special grant of 70,000 from Sport Ireland is to try and get our membership back to in and around the 14,000 figure again.
Yeah. mix is
Right,
important.
thanks, Paul. Thanks, Imelda. And Paul, spot on there. When we look at our club structure rates, obviously we have a youth rate of 2050, and for siblings then, for children of 760. So it's not just a €35 flat rate there. There's a couple of different makeups in the individual and for the club and the club one as well.
Just
thanks, Siobhan.
Just another question that came in there. Can we have a full breakdown of all membership by category?
Yeah, that can be arranged. That isn't a problem.
Shared,
yeah.
And that's it. No more questions.
Okay, great. All right, that was fairly comprehensive discussion. Thanks very much, Imelda and Maura. So can we put this to a vote now that the AGM accepts the annual financial statements for 2020, please?
Just to say there as well, the membership breakdown of fees is on our website under members and club section on the membership fees, and it should break down the club, the youth affiliation, and the affiliation of kids to parents, as well as the individual membership fees.
Thanks for that, Ruth. Okay, so that's fairly comprehensive, 91% in favour. Thank you, everyone. Right, so we're now on to the appointment of the auditors for the coming year. So you have there in front of you on the screen our auditors, Whiteside Cullinan, who have been our auditors for a number of years, and the board is proposing that we reappoint them as our auditors for the year ahead. So if we could put that straight to a vote, Ruth. Okay, how are we doing there, Ruth?
Yeah, just finished there now.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. 89%. Great. Okay, so moving swiftly on. So just to explain what this is all about, as part of our funding arrangement with Mountaineering Ireland, and indeed with Sport Northern, as part of our funding arrangement with Sport Ireland, and indeed with Sport Northern Ireland, we are required to have various safeguards in place to protect people from harm and abuse. And one of their requirements of us is that at every AGM, the AGM notes this safeguarding statement. So it's not for a vote, it's just we note in the minutes that this safeguarding statement was noted by the meeting. So I'll just give people a second to read over it if you haven't already done so. Okay, so I'm taking that as read and noted by the meeting. And we have a second one now. anti-doping statement, and this is essentially about competition climbing. Hasn't yet found its way into the hill walking community, at least not as far as I'm aware. But again, this is a requirement of our funding bodies, Sport Ireland and Sport Northern Ireland, that we subscribe to the anti-doping arrangements that they have in place. So again, I'm taking that as noted and noted by the meeting. Okay, so moving on, we've two motions on the agenda for amendments to the Constitution. The first one is before you now. So what this is about is essentially to change the deadline by which the AGM must be held from the current one, which is the 31st of March, and to push that out to the 30th of June. So as things currently stand today, we must hold the AGM of Mountaineering Ireland on or before the 31st of March in every year. This has proved difficult, increasingly difficult for us in recent years. And the reason is that our financial year runs up to the 31st of December. And that means that between the 31st of December and the 31st of March, we have to arrange a full audit of our accounts and have those accounts circulated to members 21 days in advance of the meeting. So it means we have a little over 2 months to arrange a full audit of our affairs and get the details out to members. And it's proving very difficult. It imposes stress and strain on the staff team, particularly the CEO, on our accountants and our auditors. And really, there's no good reason for it, because this isn't a legal requirement. This is something that is contained in our own constitution, and the board is strongly of the view that we should give ourselves some little leeway here. It doesn't mean that the AGM would have to be pushed back as far as the 30th of June, but it certainly would give the board some discretion as to when the AGM would be held. I might just mention that I'm a member, and I'm sure lots of others are, of the Austrian Alpine Club. And within the last week, I got a notification that the AGM of the Austrian Alpine Club for 2020 will take place in November 2021. So that just shows you how tight our timescales are. So the motion is that the Article 14 of the articles be changed to read: the financial year of MI ends on the 31st of December each year, and MI shall hold its AGM on or before the 30th of June. So unless anyone wants to speak on that, I will put it to a vote. Is there anyone indicating there?
No hands up or questions that I can see.
Okay. Let's go for a vote then, please. Well, that's fairly comprehensive. That's great. 93% in favour. I think we've well and truly hit the 75%. There's a requirement under the Constitution that we hit 75% for an amendment to the Constitution. So we've well and truly hit that one. So thank you everyone for that. So we'll move on to the second motion, motion number 2. Okay, so basically what this is about is reducing the length of time that people can serve on the board from the current maximum of 12 years to a new proposed maximum of 9 years. I don't think I have to go into any detail about all the governance failures that have been in various bodies in recent years, whether it's in the sports arena or in the charity arena or so on. And there is a general move across bodies to reduce the length of time that people can serve on their boards. And we have received advice that the current limit that we have of 12 years is too high and needs to be reduced. So the board is proposing that we reduce that max down to 9 years. So that might be served three terms of 3 years. They don't have to be consecutive, but essentially what it means is that over a lifetime, once someone reaches 9 years, they would no longer be eligible to serve on the board. So again, unless there are any questions on this one, we'll put it to the floor.
No questions, Paul.
Okay, so let's do that, please. I have to admit to having a personal interest in this motion, having clocked up 9 years. This is my get out of jail card. Not that I want to sway people in their voting or anything like that. Okay, again, we comfortably exceeded the 75%, so thank you for that. And with one bound, our hero is free. Okay, so what have we got now?
Nominations next, Paul.
Yeah, okay. So the term of office of the President, Paul Kelleher's term has expired, and we have just one nomination for the position of President, and that's Paul, nominated by the members of the board. So I'm going to put that to a vote, please. That's a comfortable victory there, Paul. Congratulations. And best wishes in your second term. Okay, we move on to the ordinary members. Now, I just need to explain something here. Under the Companies Act that we operate under, we are required to have individual votes for the election of ordinary members, unless the members present tonight agree to take them en bloc. So we can take the 6, is it 6, 2? 4?
Yes, the 6.
We can take the 6 nominees in a block vote, one vote, if everybody is agreeable to doing so. Otherwise, we will have to take them one at a time. So since there are, I put it to you that as there are 6 people vying for possible 8 positions, it doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense to do them individually. And I'd suggest that we do them on block. But I can only proceed with that if there are no objections. So I'll pause for a moment. Are there any objections?
I don't see any hands raised, Paul, and nothing in the comments.
Okay, so we'll record in the minutes that there were no objections to adopting this procedure. So I'm now going to put all the names before you: Imelda Buckley, Mike Mounsell, Colette Mahan, Gráinne McLaughlin, Jeff Thomas, and Dave Pollard for election to the board. Okay, so that's fairly comprehensive, 97%. There's a vote of confidence, folks. Congratulations, Imelda, Mike, Colette, Gráinne, Jeff, and David. Best of luck in your new term of office. So that, I think, Mauro, brings the formal proceedings to an end.
Yes, Paul, that's great.
Yeah. So just a few thank yous. As was said earlier, this is my swan song as chair and as board member. I've been on the board now for 9 years, 4 of them as an ordinary member and 5 in the chair. It's been a great honour to chair Mountaineering Ireland. I've really enjoyed it. I've learned an awful lot. I'd like to think I've contributed to the growing strength of the organisation. I want to thank a few people. Firstly, I want to thank all my fellow directors, both on the current board and the previous board. Mountaineering Ireland is unlike other organisations. There are very few junkets, freebies or free tickets or anything of that nature going with board membership. It demands a lot of time and attention, and sometimes difficult decisions have to be taken. And I want to thank all the board members who've worked with me over the last 5 years while I've been chair for their cooperation and support. I also want to thank the staff team for all their courtesy shown to me and their assistance in anything I've asked of them over the years. I especially want to thank Mauro, our CEO, who is very much the meat and the sandwich between the board on the one hand and the staff on the other, and he gets all the slings and arrows, and I'm very grateful, Mauro, to you for all your assistance over the last 5 years. Like everybody else, I'm fairly browned off with COVID-19, and I'm hoping to see some parts of Wicklow and further afield in the not too distant future. And I hope that I meet up with many of you over the next few months and years out in the hills. That's why we're all involved in this wonderful organisation. But till then, I wish you all well and keep safe. So Mauro, I'm going to hand back to you.
Okay, thanks, Paul, and thanks very much for those kind words. Just a couple of things to wrap up from my end as well. Just a reminder that just in over 3 weeks' time, we have the members forum taking place on the 21st of April. And indeed, that's going to be hopefully, a pleasant night for everyone. And who knows, we might even have some new news at that stage to share with our members, and some excitement about possibly and hopefully maybe getting out further than 5 kilometres or 10 miles. So I look forward to seeing everyone at the Members Forum. Finally, as well, I have a few words of thanks to say to the board members who served the company over the last 12 months of 2020, which has been quite a challenging time, as Paul referred to there. And I wish them all the very best as they move on to some new opportunities. I'd like to thank Trish Kane and Claire O'Connor. Thank you to both of you for your support, time and energy over the past number of years. It's been very much appreciated. To Dawson Stelfox, whom I now consider a close friend and colleague, someone always available for a chat and advice and a bit of a steer on the phone. Dawson, I wish you all the very best in your future, and I acknowledge that you're staying on in a capacity as a member of the Mountain Training Board of Ireland, which is hugely appreciated. And finally, to Paul Barron, I can honestly say that it has been an absolute privilege to have worked with a man who has such knowledge, experience, passion for all things mountaineering in Ireland, and who has always put the organisation first. I've never met a man who has such a sharp eye for detail, and who has been a huge support for me as CEO over the last number of years, and who has always helped to keep me right in matters. Wish Paul, Joan and Emma all the very best in the years ahead. And no doubt we will arrange some overdue trips on the hills when it's safe to do so. Thank you all very much. Keep well and safe, and look forward to seeing you on the 21st of April. Okay, Siobhan, do we need to do a final recording of the meeting before we can do our summary report?
No, I've done that report, so all good.
Okay. Well, once again, to reiterate Paul's points, thanks to everyone. We appreciate your time and effort on a Monday evening, and we look forward to seeing you on the 21st of April. And well done to everyone. And I appreciate everyone's contribution from the staff team, from the board, from the people in subcommittees, and of course the members here tonight as well. It's very much appreciated. And we're far greater by the sum of all our parts together as well. So it's a genuine statement, and I certainly mean it. And wish you all the very best, and please keep safe and well now that we're getting vaccines rolled out and there's light at the end of the tunnel. Let's keep momentum going and look after each other. Take care now, and God bless. Bye-bye.